Hello, friends. The personal financial projections lesson is going to help you teach business finance by way of teaching personal finance. By default, it starts off with these experiences. You are welcome to change these experiences however you like, add, remove, change them. But we've got the first question here, which asks students, how does money make you feel? And we can see what this looks like. If I go into preview, we'll kind of walk through these different sections. So it's going to come up like this. Your students can join. They'll have a QR code. And then the first question they can answer on their phone says, how does money make you feel? And they might say something like anxious. They might say something like excited. And like with their other lessons, they'll get points for each one that they submit. Any inappropriate questions or whatnot won't get shown. They won't get added in the real live version. You'll also see I have pairs selected here. What that means is, here, I'll show you what I mean. If I go back here and I go into our lesson, which is this one right here, pair students after they answer. So this is basically setting you up for think, pair, share. So in this first discussion, if you've got this box checked, it will pair up your students in the order that they answer the question. So the first two students will get paired together, and then the second two and third two, etc. And those students will be basically, the invitation is, oh, go find this person in your class and then talk to them about your answers. Like, how do you feel about money? And then have a little discussion. That gets everyone primed for a larger discussion with the entire class. So then you can look at those bubbles, see which bubbles are the biggest, and then ask everyone like, hey, who said something about anxiety? Tell me more about anxiety. And we get basically a lot more energy and engagement inside the classroom. Okay, so that's discussion question one. Discussion question two says, okay, well, what if you had enough money? What would it feel like if you had all the money you need? And so typically what we're looking at here is a combination of like negative feelings and maybe some optimism or some excitement. And now we're going to frame it because a lot of students have negative associations with money. And so we're basically trying to prime them and get them into this perspective of like, oh, money can help me feel positively. And so in the first question, they're like, yeah, there's a mix of positive and negative. Here, we're getting them framed around the things that money can help them feel in a positive light. And again, we have them pair up. In this case, whenever we're having them pair in a subsequent discussion or engagement, we have the option to either generate new pairings or reuse their pairings from previously. So if you've got them sitting next to each other in these new pairings, then hey, they can stay there. They can keep in those same partnerships and keep talking with each other. So feel free again to change that or turn this off if it doesn't matter, if you don't want them in pairs. But again, we're just trying to get some energy in the room, get people's feelings out there, and help them engage. Then we're going to walk through the cash flow projection experience, where they're going to do some personal cash flow projections on their incomes and their taxes and their expenses, and figure out basically what a cash flow analysis looks like on a personal level so that you can use that as a jumping off point to talk about business cash flow. Here again, there's some discussion built in. If you want to reuse the pairings from previous, you can generate new pairings or just turn it off entirely. Your call. All right, and then it ends with a couple more discussion questions. These are reflections around what surprised you about the exercise and what can you apply from this experience to your life or career. And then we've got a web page interaction here where we basically just take them to a URL that will give them a basic spreadsheet that they can use as a starting point for their business financial projections. Now, this is not detailed. This is not in depth. This is just a sort of a starter version. If you've got something else that you want to include, you can put it here, or you can distribute to students another way. Alternatively, you can use Exec's Financial Projection Simulator, which is a robust exercise that helps students build out their financial projections with the help of AI. So they'll explore their revenue, their product price, how many times a year a customer will purchase from them. They'll explore how large their funnel is, so how many people they can potentially reach and what the conversion rates might be. Then we move over to the expenses side of the canvas, where we explore all of their expenses, including their customer acquisition costs. So we have default numbers they can use for customer acquisition costs for different channels. And then when they're all done entering this information in, we'll give them an assessment that says, okay, each of these bars represents their optimistic, pessimistic, or average revenue. And this line here represents their projected expenses. And we want all of these bars to be above this line. So first round, they're in the red. That's totally expected. But we have them leave it just like it is. And then they go into step 2 and they make iterations, they make changes to make it profitable. So, hey, what if we change our, instead of one-time pricing, we change to a subscription model, lower the price a little bit, but we have a higher customer lifetime value. And then we lower our expenses in terms of salary and number of founders. What does that do? Okay, well, now we're in the green. Now we're profitable. Then step 3, they move over and they go to the realistic scenario. And this is where we use AI to help them. So I have dog owners in Maryland. They describe their actual business model. And then they can come in here and they can click this button and they'll get some pricing suggestions from exec. And for all of the major components of their business model, they can get AI suggestions after they've thought about it themselves. So they're not outsourcing all of their thinking. And then you can see that in this case, we have a number of competitors that it's found, and it's suggested, oh, hey, you might be able to increase your price a little bit here. So instead of, this was $15, and before you saw we had $49, maybe we can go up to $59. So they can get information from AI to help them with all of these. And then it can also do a full analysis of their entire financial model down here so that you and the students can basically have a quick snapshot of, here's what AI thinks about the viability of their financial model. So if that's something interesting, definitely let us know, teachinge.org. Otherwise, you can play with this however you like. Again, add some more slides, add mini games, add multiple choice questions, whatever you want to make this your own. All the best.